We at the CPR Worldwide Media Network, your constitutional patriot radio station, would like to take a moment to reach out to a portion of our listening audience, to the NSA, the mainstream media, to liberals masquerading as conservatives who would like to see us off the air, and to those who are spinning their wheels trying to take us down. We have a special message just for you. At the CPR Worldwide Media Network, we're happy to be your 24/7, 365 obsession because, while you have your little panties in a wad, we're speaking truth to power, telling real conservatives what you don't want them to hear, the truth, and we're not gonna stop. Now then, back under your collective bridges with the rest of your fellow trolls, and oh yes, thanks for listening to CPR.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
Listening to Right Side Patriots on CPR Worldwide Media.
We the people.
And welcome to the show, everybody. We're glad to have you here on a Wednesday, exactly a week before Christmas Eve. Craig Andreessen and Diane Sorey with you as your Right Side Patriots. And Diane, I believe today is also the first day of Hanukkah.
Yes, last night was the first candle, and today is the first full day.
Wow. So you know what? I've chosen a couple of songs that we're going to play today that kind of blend Christmas music with a more traditional style of Jewish music.
Okay, so we're going to have sort of a Chrismukkah.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're going to do.
Why not? They both worship the same God. Why not?
And I'll tell you, folks, when you hear this stuff, you're going to go, wow, why didn't I ever think of that?
Can't wait for this one.
We have got quite a show planned today. Well, we had. Let's put it this way. We had quite a show planned today. Part of it has changed rapidly over the last couple of hours. And I'll get to that in just a minute. We will be joined for the entire second hour today by our friend MUDAR ZAHRAN. And MUDAR, as you may remember, or if you didn't know, is a pro-Israeli Jordanian Palestinian. And his title, Diane, is so long I cannot even fit it on a business card.
Well, actually, MUDAR hold on, so I get this right. MUDAR is actually the Secretary General of the Jordanian Coalition of Opposition, meaning he is the leader of the opposition movement against King Abdullah, because MUDAR and his followers, including Craig and I, rightfully believe that the Palestinians do have a homeland, and it's called Jordan.
You know, it seems pretty simple, but it's not. And there's a lot that's been going on with this since the last time MUDAR joined us on the show. Folks, we had hoped to have had MUDAR a couple of weeks ago. He was suffering from a terrible bout of the flu that came on him overnight, the night before the show. Last week, he was still kind of in that recovery mode. But this week, he is in fine fettle. And will join us for the second half of the show, and he's going to bring us up to date on everything that's been going on with Jordan, Palestine, Israel, Egypt, that entire situation over there. And I'm telling you, it is unbelievable what's happening, and it's happening at a more rapid rate than we thought maybe it would a month ago.
Yes, and it also includes the lies being told to the American people by the Obama regime and his mouthpiece, John Kerry.
Well, and that's why we go to MUDAR on this stuff, because we know with MUDAR ZAHRAN, we are going to get the truth.
Yes.
And MUDAR is one of those guys that, he wants a two-state solution over there, but he is pro-Israel, and he understands the importance of Israel. Both in the region and culturally, even though MUDAR is a practicing Muslim. He is one of those moderate Muslims who actually gets it.
Right. There are a few folks, actual, real, moderate Muslims, who understand the severity of what's going on. And his basis is the fact that he strongly in his heart believes Jordan belongs to the Palestinians. And according to all the documents he has shown us and the talks we've had with him off air, MUDAR has become a personal friend of both Craig and I. He's got a damn good case for his point of view.
Well, not only does he have a good case, but he's also got, well, let's face it, a genetic case.
Yes.
Because if you delve into the genetics over there, the quote-unquote Palestinians are actually Jordanians.
Yes, and in fact what's quite odd is the Palestinians actually carry Jordanian passports now.
Yeah.
And if you carry a Jordanian passport, just like if you carry an American passport, you're a citizen of that country.
Well, if things are hopping over there, so
yes.
MUDAR will be along at the top of the next hour and be with us for the entire second half of the show. Now, we had intended, up until a couple of hours ago, to go in depth on this horrific situation in Pakistan with the slaughter of 142 people. 130 of them were children in a school a day or so ago. And I did an article on it, this morning. It's just a horrible, horrific situation, and these were Obama's Talibani brethren. That's the way Diane puts it. That did this. It was a terrorist attack. It was mass murder, and we were gonna go in depth on that. However, this is what's changed over the last 2 hours. We now have the fact that Obama is making some unilateral moves. He can't do everything unilaterally, but he's sure as hell trying to reestablish our diplomatic ties and trade ties and everything else with the communist country of Cuba.
Not only is it a communist country, it is also on the United States list of terrorist countries that are supposed to be basically person non grata to us.
Well, that's just a mere technicality in the Obama regime. We call them, sponsors of state terror. Obama calls them every Tuesday and Thursday night. Yeah,
they're his best buddies, of course. Of course.
So, we're going to, instead of getting into the thing in Pakistan, which we will, but we'll save that for the Saturday show, folks. We're going to deal with this pressing issue between the U.S. and Cuba and get you all up to speed on that today as well. So, that said, we'll, like I said, we're going to do some kind of a mixture of Hanukkah and Christmas music and things today to celebrate the dual season, and we're going to have some fun along the way too. So with that, what do you say we wake up our moderate Muslim intern, Mohammed Hussein Obama, who's been snoozing, as it were, in a cave high in the mountains of Tora Bora. Mohammed, are you there? He's there.
He's there, and boy, did he add to my headache.
Oh, man. He is an obnoxious little squirrel, isn't he?
Yeah.
Mohammed, how's your girlfriend, the one humper? Harry.
Just his voice it's like nails on a blackboard.
Oh, I know. He could cut glass with that voice.
Yes.
Mohammed, you got quick hitters for us. Well, yeah, okay, so fire up the Intercontinental Ballistic Camel and fire those things on over here, will you? I got a copy.
Okay, here's mine. Looking
hey,
good.
that camel really hauls ass. I mean, that thing just kind of whizzes as it goes by.
Well, you would too if you had dynamite up your butt.
Well, yeah. I mean, Hey, Mohammed, does your one humper does she whiz in the cave? In bed, even. Wow. It's got to be an uncomfortable night's sleep, I guess. Well, let's look and see what we've got here. Well, this is interesting. We excuse me, we went in depth on this for a couple of shows just recently. This whole executive order amnesty thing that Obama came up with. And Diane, I believe you and I both said that it was unconstitutional.
Yes.
Well, a federal judge is now agreeing with us. Now, I'm not sure we were actually cited in the judge's decision.
We should have been, because we put it out right from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, but a federal judge is now saying that big parts of Obama's executive amnesty action are indeed unconstitutional.
Yes. And this is, I have to take a breath here, guys, because when we get into the Cuba segment,
if you could have heard Diane leading up to the show.
Yeah, you'll understand why. But this unilateral decision, it violates the separation of powers provided for in the United States Constitution, as well as in the Take Care Clause. That's what the judge said. Now, a little something about this judge. He was a Bush appointee, and he has ruled against Obama in the past. This is a great judge for this case.
Well, now, we all know what's going to happen here. Obama's going to go shopping for a judge that is willing to take the money, and he'll find a judge that will rule exactly the opposite, which means that this, just like the Obamacare thing, is going to wind up at the Supreme Court level.
It'll probably do a quick stop by the Ninth Circuit Liberal Court of Appeals on its way up there.
Yeah, I call them the Ninth Circus Court of Appeals.
Good one.
Yeah, it probably will, but, there's going to be judges who are going to rule both ways on this thing. It's going to be interesting to find out what certain members of Congress, like Ted Cruz, will do with this ruling, because this might be enough to get an injunction and make the whole thing put the whole thing on hold and make it wait until the final ruling is made.
And hopefully that would be done where the new sitting Congress can, help kill it, basically. The 113th Congress is now out on recess for Christmas break, and when we come back right on January 6th, we'll be seating the new 114th Republican-controlled Congress. So this is like a very good chain of events that's happening here. So now we know why Obama announced Cuba when he did.
Well, yeah, maybe I can't get amnesty through, but I'm going to screw you with Cuba.
Exactly.
I mean, good grief.
I know, it just gets better and better.
It does. Hey, there's a new Fox News poll out, and this poll shows that there are now 2 leaders in the 2016 race, one for the right side and one for the wrong side.
Yes, and I love the one from the right side. His name is Mitt Romney.
Now that name seems familiar to me.
Vaguely familiar.
Yeah.
And word has it that he is now reconsidering his decision not to run. It's not a definite by any means, but he is reconsidering because the support for him is growing daily for the simple reason he was right about everything. And what people need to understand about Mitt Romney is, yes, he is more moderate on the social issues, but guess what? So am I. And there's a reason why. Social issues are states' issues. They don't belong on the federal level. That's what Article 5 is all about. Now, Mitt Romney is very strong on national defense, on our military, a genius when it comes to the economy. He will be able to fix the economy. He is the right man for the job. However, back in 2012, he knew by all indicators he had lost before the first vote was ever cast. Because we had the dead voting. We had the Black Panthers doing their Black Panther thing. We had people voting 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. This is a good opportunity now because what they pulled for Obama, if it is Hillary, they're not going to be able to pull with Mrs. What difference does it make, Clinton.
Oh, Miss, what difference does it make, Miss, let's cozy up to the terrorists.
Exactly. I forgot her last name. What difference does it make is her first name. Yeah.
I mean, if Hillary runs, it's going to be an interesting campaign because there is no shortage of heavy artillery ammo to use against her. Mitt Romney, he was, you look at everything he stated throughout the campaign and especially in all those debates. And yes, he got it all right.
He got absolutely everything right. Now, speaking of the word right, if he does decide to run, if we can only keep our uber ultra far right wing of our party, the holier than thous who think only their way is the right way to God, if we can sort of keep them in check,
yeah.
We
now,
have a very good chance this time.
What was the HTT rallying cry last time in 2012? Better the Muslim we don't know than the Mormon we don't.
Exactly. Better the Muslim we do know than the Mormon we don't know. Well, guess what, guys? You've had 2 years of that Muslim you so liked. Now it's time for the Mormon and his strong conservative views on the issues that are federal issues. That's the key thing here, folks. Certain issues are federal issues. Certain issues belong on the state level. They have no business being part of a federal election. And those issues are the social issues.
Now, speaking of the social issues, here's one. There's a pastor. His name is Edward James. Pastor Edward James. He's down in Mississippi, and he staged what I would have to term as a rather unique protest against gay marriage. Now, he's got every right to protest it. And as a pastor, if the doctrines of his church do not recognize gay marriage, he should not be forced to perform them.
Correct.
Okay, so he mounted what has to be, so far, the most unique protest against this. And to do this, he took to the absurd. He did what he thought was meeting absurdity with absurdity.
Yeah.
He dressed a horse in a wedding dress.
Yeah.
A horse.
Yes.
In a wedding dress. Now, I'm not sure what size wedding dress a horse wears.
Extra large.
Kind of a moo shell size.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he stood out there in front of his church, did Pastor Edward James, with a horse in a wedding dress.
Yes. And
do you take this horse to be your lawfully wedded?
Your unnatural wedded spouse to have and to hold is what the signs outside his church said. And this is the Bertha Chapel Missionary Baptist Church that he's the pastor of. And we can say that name because it is public knowledge. It is on the internet.
Yeah.
And
Pastor James is not ashamed of his protest. But I do have a question for Muhammad, though. Muhammad, it seems like they're going to marry horses off to people down in Mississippi. You interested? No humps. Just kind of a sway back in a saddle. Any interest at all?
Maybe if it was goats, it would be different for Muhammad.
Muhammad, how about a goat? He said he'd moonlight with a goat.
He'd cheat with a goat.
Cheat with one.
This all came about because the U.S. District Court Judge Carlton Reeves struck down Mississippi's same-sex marriage ban in a ruling last month, and making it that gay couples cannot yet marry in Mississippi pending the outcome of a state appeal to the 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in New Orleans. And they're scheduled to begin those hearings on January 9th. So this little horse theatric was sort of a lead-in to it, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, it was a well-thought-out protest. And look, like I said, first of all, the situation belongs in the state. Okay.
Yes.
I really don't think it ought to be a federal, jurisdiction thing. It's a state thing.
Absolutely.
Second of all, if a pastor says his church doctrine doesn't allow for that, then the pastor or the church should not be forced to perform the gay. I mean, I'm sure gay people in Mississippi can find other people that will marry them.
Absolutely. I mean, one church turns you away, but others won't. In fact, the Unitarian congregations are big proponents of gay marriage. Why do you have to be married in one particular church? Go to the churches that you accept you.
Yeah, I mean, and it's got to be kind of weird down there in Mississippi because, I mean, and I don't know. I've never heard Pastor Edward James speak, but I've got kind of an idea what he might sound like. I mean, hey, Effie, come here. This here fellow over here, he wants to get married to this other fellow over here. What do you think?
Well, here's an interesting statistic about Mississippi. They actually have a pretty large amount of same-sex couples. They have 3,484 who have registered to marry.
Okay.
And about a quarter of them are actually raising children.
Well, here's the thing, folks.
Which is their right, by the way.
The only gay people we ever hear about on, in a national media or social media kind of way, is the LGBTEIEIO, whatever they call themselves.
Right.
And, they're just a bunch of loudmouth, obnoxious ding-dongs, as far as I'm concerned.
And even the gay people don't like them.
Yeah, the majority, first of all, gay people are 2% of the American population. So, the majority of that 2% really doesn't want much to do with the LGBTEIEIO crowd.
Of course
Most gay people, the majority of the 2%, simply want to be left alone. They just want to go about their business and be who they are.
Right. Be with their partners, raise their children, live the American dream. Most gay people are very hardworking people, not like other segments of our population. But along with this, Craig, comes, the gay bashing, the gay haters, the ones calling for the stoning of gay people. And these kind of actions with this horse and all that, while we get a real little tee-hee out of it, they actually feed into this hatred. They really do.
Well, they do. They do. And there's no reason for it. There's no rhyme or reason for it. I mean, for goodness sakes, when was the last time two people minding their own business bothered anybody? I mean, if two gay people want to get married, how does that harm your marriage or my marriage or any of our listeners' marriages. It doesn't.
It doesn't affect us in the least.
And so why we got a bunch of, holier-than-thou busybodies wanting to stick their nose into everybody else's business, it's beyond me, because, the vast majority of the slim minority of gay people wouldn't be sticking their nose in those people's business. They don't care. They don't care.
But you know what, Craig? It's the haters. The haters supposedly on our side that are doing this abomination against gay people. And they keep perpetrating it and perpetrating it and perpetrating it. That's why we have stories like this horse in the news. Do you know most people, most legitimate news media wouldn't cover this if it wasn't for them then being able to put the other side in, increase their ratings, sell their papers, get people on the internet. Just like racism is a big business, hating gay people has become a big business for certain factions on our side.
Well, you're right, but from what I understand, it was a good-looking horse.
Oh, okay. He wore the colors well, right?
I guess so. And under the dress looked a little like the moo.
Looked a lot like the moo.
Well, I'm sure the
we
horse had more.
We gotta tell the truth, Craig.
I'm sure the horse had more going for it.
Probably a prettier face.
That's what I'm saying. And finally today, folks, in the couple of minutes we have left, if you're going to pick a house to invade, be careful.
Yes.
Because 5 guys in Butte, Montana, they were one house off. And these guys were members of the Crips. Okay, and the Crips gang, pretty nasty bunch. And apparently they were owed $50 for some marijuana. And so they decided they were going to go into the guy's house that owed him $50 and, I guess, take $50 out of his hide. And so they broke into the house at 1 o'clock in the morning. Problem was, the guy who owed them the money lived next door, and these guys broke into the wrong house. Oh, boy, did they break into the wrong house.
Oh, they sure do. The house they broke into was Robert O'Neill, the former Navy SEAL who shot and killed Osama bin Laden.
If you're going to break into somebody's house and try to beat them up, my suggestion would be, well, first of all, don't be selling pot. And second of all, don't break into the home of a Navy SEAL.
Absolutely not, because not only is he a crack, shooter, he is also trained extremely well in hand-to-hand combat and certain little unniceties that these animals rightfully got.
Well, now here's kind of what happened here in a nutshell, folks. Rob O'Neill goes to bed shortly before 1 o'clock in the morning, and he is awakened by the sound of somebody kicking in his door. So he, springs out of bed to see what was the matter. It is the Christmas season. And he goes down, apparently goes towards the door and discovers that there's 5 guys in his house. So he figures, well, since they broke down my door, I'm going to open up a can of whoop ass.
Yes, and what he did was he actually used silent hand-to-hand combat tactics to individually disarm each and every one of the 5 of their weapons. He tied them up, he secured his home, then sat down, brewed himself a pot of coffee, and called the police.
Now, the article that we found this in, folks, this happened just a couple of days ago. And I think this is up for quote of the year. And Diane, I think you've got it. I think if you scroll down in that article, down towards the bottom of it there, you'll find that quote of the year. He was, O'Neill was interviewed the next day by a Butte, Montana newspaper guy.
Yes.
And read that quote, because this is priceless.
It is priceless. It really was nothing those kids didn't have their mission planned out properly and hit the wrong target. I hated to break their wrists and dislocate each of their knees like I did, but it was necessary in order to immobilize the invasion. I hope they get their money that is owed to them once they get out of jail and decide to live better lives. My main concern is getting my back door fixed. Those boys really did a number on the jaw jam.
I mean to tell you, 5 Crips gang members did not even begin to ruffle a single feather on the U.S. Navy SEAL.
Yes, what I'd like to know is those 5 silent tactics.
He broke their wrists and dislocated their knees. Wow.
Silently.
5 of them. I mean, it's one thing if it's one guy. It's 5 of them.
Yes.
Holy
good going.
Crap.
Absolutely.
Way to go, Navy SEAL.
Yeah, I think it's time maybe a little bit more of this is done and put these American barbarians in their place.
Good God, man. Mm-hmm. I mean, look, you don't become a Navy SEAL easily. Nope. And he just, gave a kind of a home demonstration of what it is to be a Navy SEAL.
Too bad he didn't catch it on tape so we could all study his maneuvers.
Man, I'm telling you what, that's some fine work, Mr. O'Neill.
Yes.
Our hats are off to you, and trust me, if we decide to come over to your house, sir, we'll call first. Yeah, we'll call first.
Yes. We'll bring some coffee cake with us when you brew that pot of coffee.
You don't want to surprise a Navy SEAL at 1 o'clock in the morning. That's the lesson learned there, folks. We're going to have to take a quick break here. When we come back, we are going to get into this business about Cuba. This is oh boy. Hang on, folks, because I got a feeling Diane is about ready to let loose, as it were. After these words from our messages, we will have the first of our combination Christmas Hanukkah songs.
Okay.
Too, by the way, folks, so don't go anywhere. Hang on, Diane and I will be back after this.
Citigold is an account from a global bank with over 200 years' experience, offering international banking expertise across over 100 markets. Your dedicated investment consultant adds a unique personal touch to your banking experience. Complimentary lifestyle offers like Marhaba service and free global money transfers help you save on time and money. At the core of Citigold is your dedicated relationship manager, personally looking after your financial needs. Be it lifestyle privileges like golf, lounge access across the Middle East, or worldwide privileges, Citigold provides you with a rewarding experience. One card is all you need for all your Citibank accounts. As a Citigold client, you benefit from our international expertise and global reach. Citigold is more than an account. It's a personal banking service offering exceptional privileges, customer service and recognition worldwide. So wherever you are, Citigold will be with you.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
It's not about how many miles you can get out of the C-Max Hybrid. It's about how much life you can fit into it. The Ford C-Max Hybrid, with an EPA estimated range of 540 miles on a tank of gas, and all the room you need to enjoy the trip. Go stretch out. Go further.
welcome back to Right Side Patriots. Craig Andreessen from the National Patriot, Diane Sorey from the Patriot Factor. And Diane, there's just not enough time in the show to play both Christmas music and Hanukkah music.
Right.
So I found something that kind of combines the two. That's the Klezmonauts. And in case you're wondering, folks, the name of that is Oi to the World. So, and we're going to hear a little bit more of the klezmers at Christmas time right at the end of the show. We've got another one of their classics for you, so you want to stay tuned for that. And coming up for the entire second half of the show, our good friend MUDAR ZAHRAN will join us to bring us up to date on everything going on over there in the Middle East that involves Israel, Jordan, the Palestinian movement, Gaza, Egypt, that whole sordid mess that's going on over there, and some things that are going to surprise you, folks. I guarantee you that.
Yes, very much so.
Now, we were all surprised just a few hours ago when it suddenly came out that I'm almost at a loss for words here. Folks, we're going to open up an embassy in Havana.
Yes.
Communist country. We've had a moratorium on all things Cuban since 1961 when Fidel Castro literally, brutally took over that country and turned it into a communist wasteland. Yes. And now, all of a sudden, under Barack Hussein, Cuba's all our good buddies now.
Yes, and let's see, where do I start?
Well, let me lead you into this just a little bit, because this is something that it pisses me off. From the political end, it pisses Diane off from a political and a personal point of view.
Yes, what happened? I'm not Cuban. I'm American born. My family's been here since the mid-1800s.
They're old.
They're old. However, I am married to a naturalized American who's been here since he was a baby, whose family has been here since 1961. All American citizens. Many people have asked me about my last name in the Cuban community, my last name being Sorey. My actual full last name, according to Cuban tradition, would be Sorey Marin. Now, Sorey Marin is a very well-known name in Cuba, not just for who my father-in-law was, who was a very, very well-known doctor in Havana, who owned a major hospital, a world-renowned hospital in Havana.
Now, I'm going to interrupt here from time to time so people understand just how important a man this was.
Yes.
Your father-in-law actually worked with Dr. DeBakey.
Well, he through correspondence and being that they were both involved with hearts, lungs, that type of thing. He didn't work directly with him.
No, but I mean, they conferenced.
Yes.
And
yes.
DeBakey is the one who performed the world's first heart transplant.
Yes, and my father-in-law was a world-renowned pulmonologist and a heart and lung surgeon. But it's not him that this story really concerns.
Right.
My father-in-law and his family were part of the underground movement against Fidel Castro. They actively worked against him. Little did Castro know that my father-in-law's brother, Humberto Sorey Marin, who worked his way up undercover in the Castro takeover of Cuba, was actually an agent for America. He worked his way all the way up to agricultural minister of Cuba. In the meantime, unbeknownst to Castro, he was going back and forth to Washington working with JFK in the planning of the Bay of Pigs invasion. Well, when Kennedy decided at the last minute not to go ahead with the Bay of Pigs invasion, Humberto was found out. He was taken before Castro, sentenced to die, put before a firing squad, first shot in the knee so he would drop to the ground like he was begging for his life, and then in front of his family he was shot to death countless times. Over and over they shot him. My father-in-law, who then had a bounty on his head along with their family, my father-in-law was smuggled out of Cuba in an air conditioning duct, and his wife, my mother-in-law, and my husband, who was a baby, and his older sister had to pay vast amounts of money to get out of the country. They had to leave everything behind. So what Obama has done, and all this is going to come out in my article for tomorrow, what Obama has done, what people don't understand, is that Cuba is on our list of countries non grata because they sponsor terrorism. It might not be the same type of terrorism that the Muslims do, but it is still terrorism in the sense of U.S. laws. So now Obama has slapped in the face all the Cubans that came here legally. That includes the children that came in the Peter Pan airlifts of the early 1960s when my husband and his sister came. That includes also every Cuban that has risked their lives under the wet foot, dry foot policy. And whether other immigrant groups don't like it or not, that wet foot, dry foot happens to be law. Whether it's right or wrong, it's law. So he has slapped in the face all of them. He has done this, how shall I say it? He has done this to cozy up with fellow communists. While Fidel now is very old and sick and just plays a background role, his younger brother Raul, who's not that young, he's in his mid to late 70s by now, but not sick like Fidel is. He's an avowed communist, Marxist, of the same ilk Obama is. And the people that are now in Cuba are not the same people that left in the 60s and 70s. This is a class of Cubans, not all, of course. I am not lumping them all into the same group. But the people that are left in Cuba now are the people that are dependent on the Cuban government for their existence. So what Obama is now doing, and what he has just pledged in his recent little teleprompted press conference, is that our U.S. dollars, yours and my taxpayer dollars, are now going to go to help rebuild Cuba and are now going to go to take care of these people. In other words, Cuba's welfare roll people will now basically become ours.
Now, here's something that people need to understand about when and why we cut our ties with Cuba. You know, you got to go back to 1961 and the advent of the Castro communist regime. And the United States said we will not have diplomatic relations with a communist country within our hemisphere. And not only that, but as Diane just pointed out, Castro's regime is brutal and always has been.
Yes.
And so we've had this since 1961, and the idea being if Cuba were to ever renounce communism and give their people the freedom that all people deserve, then we'd talk. And chances were, at that point, we would reestablish diplomatic relations. Now, we find out that we transferred 3 prisoners to get 1 from Cuba. An American by the name of Gross has been held in a Cuban prison for the last couple of years. He was sentenced to 5 years. And we traded 3 Castro spies who had been convicted. Initially, there was 5 of them. 2 of them served out their sentences and were shipped out of here. The other 3 remained in a U.S. prison. They were sent back to Castro, and we got Mr. Gross in the deal. That is a horrible bargain.
It's another deal just like the Bo Bergdahl 5-for-1 deal. Now, the thing about these 3 that are left, these 5 that were tried and convicted, we had a group here in South Florida that used to fly aid to the Cuban people called Brothers to the Rescue. 2 of their planes were down by the Cuban government, and I believe the pilots were never found. They were, lost at sea. Right. And these people were convicted of that shooting down, of being the spies, of, arranging the coordinates, whatever. And we are sending back them. We are sending them back for an American contractor. Okay, the man shouldn't have been held, but he was. It would have been well and fine to get Mr. Gross home. Nobody is denying getting him home. The bad part about this, and people, this is going to irk you no end. Obama had been working for 18 months behind the scenes through Canada and through the Pope to get Mr. Gross released. He had been doing this under the radar in secret deals. Yet secret deals being made with a communist, terrorist-listed country. Yet this man listed not one damn finger to get our Marine, Sergeant Tamarisi, home. For 6 months, that man languished in a prison. Mr. Gross was held in a hospital ward. Andrew Tamarisi was held in the worst, most vile conditions, chained to a bed. And this man did not a goddamn thing to get him home. Yet he had no problem for 18 months negotiating with communists.
Now, let me make a point here about Mr. Gross. And like Diane said, it's good. Fine. He's home. Great. Okay, he's back on U.S. soil. He arrived early this morning. Great. Okay. He was over there working as kind of an internet guy, kind of an IT guy, a contractor. He was working with a group that was trying to undermine the Castro regime. And he had been over there 5 separate times to work with this group. And he knew that there was basically a warrant out for his arrest in Cuba. Now, you gotta think of it this way. I'm glad he's home, but he never should have been over there to begin with. We had no diplomatic relations with Cuba. He damn well knew that. There was an arrest warrant out for him in Cuba. He damn well knew that too. Now, if you're going to go to a communist country that we have no diplomatic relations with whatsoever and work with a group that is trying to... look, the group was doing good work. I mean, they're trying to get rid of the Castro regime. They're trying to undercut the Castro regime. But you're going to work with a group that's going to put you on that radar. And then you expect the United States government to come bail your ass out and bail you out of that situation by trading people, spies, who are responsible for the deaths of Americans?
Yeah.
That's not right. Not in my book.
No, it's not right at all. It's paramount to the Taliban Bo Bergdahl. Remember, the Taliban that he released were high-ranking Taliban. One of them who is now running free all over Qatar, I believe. And they, he traded them for one low-level American trader who deserted his post to go voluntarily to the enemy. And he's done it again, folks. He's done it again. Although Mr. Gross, of course, he was not a traitor or anything like that. But he's done it again, 3 for 1, with a country that is listed as non grata to the United States. This man, Marco Rubio, said it best. And he's our Florida senator, and he said Barack Obama is the worst negotiator that we've had as president since at least Jimmy Carter and maybe in the entire history of this country. And he is 100% correct. He is selling out America to our enemies, one country at a time.
I understand working behind the scenes with countries that are that do have diplomatic relations with a country we don't. This is nothing new. You know, we have gone through Switzerland and we have gone through Canada with other countries and, you know, so on and so forth to get some things done in the past, and that's fine. You know, that's what you have to do. So I don't hold this against Canada, and I don't hold it against the Pope, you know, anything like that. But here's I don't know what shocked me more. The fact that all of a sudden it was announced out of the clear blue sky that Obama is going to push for normalized relations. He does have to go through Congress to get that, but he's doing a lot of this with his damn pen and his phone again. I don't know if it shocked me more that was the case or that he said within the next couple of months we will have an embassy opened in Havana. Do you know how long it takes to build a U.S. embassy that is safe and secure?
Well, what they will probably do is refurbish the original U.S. embassy. Remember, in the 50s, guys, Havana was known as the Jewel of the Caribbean. I mean, Cuba was known as the Jewel of the Caribbean. It was a great tourist destination for America. It was a very, very wealthy country at that time. But you know why this was done, Craig? Because starting next month, are you ready, folks?
Hang on.
Obama did this unilaterally again. 9,000 unapproved Syrian Muslims are going to be let into our country, starting about 1,000 a month come January. This is a diversionary tactic, another of his diversionary tactics.
Make everybody focus on Cuba.
So Congress can't vote on it now.
Right.
They're on recess.
I mean, you do this now, make everybody focus on Cuba, and then you quietly bring 9,000 Muslims, Islamists,
yes,
from Syria over to the United States. Now, I understand, Diane, what you're saying about, you know, they'll probably revamp the old embassy there. But let me tell you something. You don't do that overnight either.
No.
There is no cable TV at the old embassy. There is no wiring for the internet. The place, if it even still is standing, has got to be in horrible condition. It's going to need new aluminum siding.
They don't have aluminum siding. It's concrete and cinder block. It's the Spanish style.
I know. But, I mean, you can't just revamp something that you haven't even been in since 1961.
Well,
you know,
what people don't understand, a lot of these government buildings that Castro appropriated, if he chose to use them for his own use, for his army's use, for his administration's use, those buildings are one of the few buildings that are in decent shape.
And do you know how long it would take to get all the bugs out of the wiring?
Yeah.
Holy crap. I mean,
true.
What this tells me is that they have been working on a new U.S. embassy, or at least working on a U.S. embassy, for a long time.
Yes, this is nothing new. This is Obama working on this, like we said, for 18 months that we know of. It could have been longer, and this was just his little December surprise, guys, in time to say, screw you, in time for Christmas.
Yeah, and you know where he's going. He's going to take off here in a couple of days, go on a 17-day vacation to Hawaii again.
Yeah. You know, we never thought, you know, we always thought, good, put him on the golf course, put him on vacation, he can't do any more damage. But now with his pen and phone, that goes with him. So he can screw us even from Hawaii.
Well, you know, there were members of Congress that were so giddy over this, they actually got on the plane and flew down there to Cuba to go over there and kiss Castro's ass. You know, while you got another whole set in Congress who are just livid over this thing. And if you're going to have normalized relations, that's got to go through Congress. And I just don't think the new Congress is going to say okie dokie.
I don't think they are either. However, we don't know what deals have been put in place now.
True.
We're only hearing what the media wants us to hear. Now, I am able to get a little bit more information from some Cuban sources, but It's not everything that's seen on the surface, folks. There were deals put in place. There were things done that even this Congress might not be able to undo. That's what scares me.
I'm telling you, we got 2 more years of this crap.
Yes.
And it's going to be something like this every couple of weeks. I guarantee it.
Yes, and it's time. The first thing, Congress has 2 things they need to do come January 6th after they're sworn in, the new Congress. First, secure that border. That's number 1. Secure it, lock it down, seal it, hermetically seal it, put barbed wire fence with electrodes on it, do every and anything to secure that border. And then after that, start impeaching proceedings against this traitorous usurper in the White House. Only through impeaching him can we arrest him for being a traitor, aiding and abetting the enemy, and crimes against America. Every one of his recent actions adds to that more and more. And stop being afraid of the race card, because he's half white, he's not black, he's mixed race. So you know what? Sue, impeach, do whatever against his white half, and his black half will come along with it.
I guarantee you, I agree with that 100%. You know, we were blindsided by this today, folks. We had intended to go into this horrific situation in Pakistan at the school with the Taliban terrorists, but this popped up out of the blue today, this whole thing with Cuba, and we had to kind of shift gears. We will get into the Pakistan thing on Saturday. Meanwhile, I do have an article out about the Pakistan thing in thenationalpatriot.com. Diane is working on an article about the Cuba situation, and she will have that tomorrow at thepatriotfactor.blogspot.com. So make sure that you check in and read my article today, hers tomorrow, and that'll kind of get you up to speed on that. Diane, we're going to have to take a quick break here. When we come back, all plans are that we will be joined by our friend MUDAR ZAHRAN to get to the bottom of things that are going on over in Jordan, in Gaza with the Palestinians and Hamas and the Brotherhood and the Egyptians and Israel, and well, the list just goes on and on. It's kind of like a Rubik's Cube over there when it comes to the countries. But stand by, folks. We'll get MUDAR on the line, and Diane and I will be back after this quick time out.
Why do cities shine so bright? It's the glow of opportunities, of ideas bouncing off one another, of countless people, every one of us, striving to succeed. Right now, in cities everywhere, ideas are being born. New thinking that will put us in awe of what people are capable of. That's what lights cities up. And helping people and their ideas to burn even brighter, so that communities, businesses, and you and I can grow. What if a bank made that its job? For more than 200 years, Citi's job has been to help empower people and business. Now, around the world, it's wherever people gather, wherever ideas come alive. It's wherever you are. The world's city.
The most amazing thing about the Ford Fusion isn't the way it looks. The most amazing thing is the way it sees. With blind spot technology, a lane keeping system, and a standard rear view camera, the Fusion is ready for whatever comes your way. Go prepared. Go further.
We at the CPR Worldwide Media Network, your constitutional patriot radio station, would like to take a moment to reach out to a portion of our listening audience. to the NSA, the mainstream media, to liberals masquerading as conservatives who would like to see us off the air, and to those who are spinning their wheels trying to take us down, we have a special message just for you. At the CPR Worldwide Media Network, we're happy to be your 24/7, 365 obsession because, while you have your little panties in a wad, we're speaking truth to power, telling real conservatives what you don't want them to hear, the truth. And we're not gonna stop. Now then, back under your collective bridges with the rest of your fellow trolls, and oh yes, thanks for listening to CPR.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
Listening to the second hour of Right Side Patriots on CPR Worldwide Media.
We, the people.
And we're back on Right Side Patriots. Craig Andreessen from the National Patriot, Diane Sorry from the Patriot Factor, and from all things knowledgeable about the Middle East, our friend MUDAR ZAHRAN has joined us today for the second half of the show. And MUDAR, welcome back to Right Side Patriots.
Thank you very much for having me. Glad to be back.
Well,
Glad to have you.
I'm not quite sure what to say to somebody of your culture and your situation. I mean, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. Neither one seems to fit.
No, we actually, just to be clear, the original, or let's say the normal, or the raw version of Islam celebrates the birth of Jesus as God's word to Mary, and we celebrate the victory. I'm not sure, I don't know about Hanukkah, but we do celebrate the victory of Moses and the children of Israel over Pharaoh, the Exodus, and we actually are supposed to fast on that day. And I am one of the very few who do actually fast on that day. I know both my parents did. Oh. So it's, so the raw version, again, it's the old discussion that the raw version of Islam is not as bad as what we see today. But that's a different story.
It is, but yet it's a festive season for us. And, yes. I've always wished my Jewish friends either a Merry Christmas or a Happy Hanukkah, and they've always done the same, with me. If I, as a matter of fact, MUDAR, if I wish my Jewish friends a Merry Christmas, they return it with a Happy Hanukkah. And if I wish them a Happy Hanukkah, they say Merry Christmas to me. So, then there's you. And,
we could always do the politically incorrect Happy Holidays.
Oh,
I just can't bring myself to do that.
Well, it doesn't matter how much we are all going to be celebrating. I know the Castros in Havana are having a blast today. and they're going to be celebrating for a very long time. And it basically tells us that there are more surprises to come with the current president of the United States, and the least expected is actually expected. The president now his party has lost the Congress, and there is it's very unlikely that the next president will be a Democrat. Therefore, whenever a president is leaving to another president that's not from his party, usually historically that president would make drastic moves, because there's not much to lose for the party there. They've lost everything.
Right.
So basically, I honestly predict and prophesize that 2015 in particular is going to be a very, very interesting years, and we're going to see actions which are not regular and least expected by the administration. It doesn't mean that I am for them or against them. It just says that expect the unexpected. And there are a few issues that have been hanging over the president's head, and he's been delaying for various Washington politics. One of those issues is basically on the foreign affairs, particularly Jordan and Syria.
Well,
Jordan and Syria's issues where I think they're going to be handled in the next 12 months.
Well, let me ask you this, Mudar. How close, because we've seen this happen with Obama over and over again, where he steps up and says, so-and-so must go, Gaddafi must go, Mubarak must go, Assad must go. How close is he to saying that the King of Jordan must go? Because every time he does it, he creates a vacuum that's filled by an Islamic terrorist organization.
Well, we can never estimate if he actually will ever say that, but we can tell and confirm that the U.S. administration has basically seized the opportunity of the weakening king. Now, we need to be honest and strategic about what we say here today. The U.S. is almost fully in control of the Jordanian army, almost fully in control of the Jordanian intelligence and the military intelligence. And this is beyond doubt, and this is very, very well documented. It's not a theory, it's a fact. That being the case, the king now has become irrelevant. If the king goes, king stays, nothing's going to change for the American. Never mind the protocol in Washington and the Congress meeting with the king. Facts remain facts that the CIA and the Pentagon, they both know that the king is no longer relevant to their operations. And therefore, it's not if he would say the king has to go. We can just say what he has said before in 2012, November 2012, when we, the seculars, launched a major revolution against the king, which the media has ignored. The documented revolution, what happened then is we saw the U.S. Department of State spokesperson coming out and saying that basically the U.S. supported the revolution. On the first strike, the first blow, I can't see the U.S. administration letting go of Jordan's king, especially now. Well, the question is, if I may, who's going to replace the king? Who's going to replace the king? The seculars, the U.S. administration doesn't even bother to talk to the Palestinian Jordanian seculars. The U.S. administration is only in touch with the Islamists. So we're going to see another Morsi Muslim Brotherhood in Jordan along Israel's longest borders. Not good news to anyone.
Well, Diane, who do you want to see? About that. Let me ask Diane a question. Who would you like to see running Jordan? Diane?
I'd like to see Mudar and his party running Jordan.
Yeah.
And that's along what I want to ask you. If this does indeed happen and the king is removed from power or simply becomes a puppet figurehead, what would happen with the people in the effect? Let's say the Muslim Brotherhood gets in, and we know if Obama has any say about it, that's who he would want in, is his brethren in the Muslim Brotherhood. Would that lead the people of Jordan to revolt like they did in Egypt?
Well, we always have to separate myth from facts.
Okay.
The fact is, to be honest, even if the Muslim Brotherhood take over Jordan, it's unlikely that they will do anything against Israel that's drastic, because they don't control MUDAR ZAHRAN, if he becomes Jordan's president, he's not really going to be able to control the army or the intelligence without the U.S. influence. So whoever is in charge, whoever is going to rule Jordan, is not going to make a lot of difference. But the Muslim Brotherhood could do what the king is already doing to Israel. For example, making things difficult with the so-called right of return, making things difficult with the Palestinian refugees, stripping Palestinian refugees from their passports. Let's not forget, the Muslim Brotherhood in Jordan is, the percentage of the Muslim Brotherhood of Jordan is 91%. This is from their own record, as East Bankers, Bedouin Jordanians. Okay. So we will find another state that's rude to Israel, and that could actually cause damage to Israel. The old myth that Israel's military might is going to cut the mustard either way, it turns out not to be true, because you see now there's an entire so-called peace plan being promoted by Jordan King, which has harassed and squeezed Israel to the extreme. And if I may say, I just want to add that 9 days ago, the king had an interview with Charlie Rose. Mr. Charlie Rose asked the king, in front of millions of American viewers, about the details of the so-called peace plan that he and Kerry and Netanyahu and others have been discussing. And he told him that I cannot tell you. So I might do the American listeners a favor by giving them the details of the plan, which the king actually thinks is a secret, despite the fact that it's not a secret. It's been published all over the Arab media.
Now, this, folks, is why we have MUDAR on the show, because he's got the information that we're not going to get from mainstream media in this country. And, these are the happenings that are going on over there that are going to have an effect on the United States and on one of our greatest allies, which happens to be Israel. So what is the down and the dirty on this peace plan?
The peace plan, this is all documented. I'm not talking about theories or so-called inside information. These are facts. The Y News, Yediot Akronot newspaper of Israel, confirmed that the peace plan which the U.S. is now pushing has been proposed to President Obama by Jordan's king back in 2013. So the peace plan was originally proposed by Jordan's king. Now the king refused to tell Charlie Rose about the details. Nonetheless, the details have been published in Al-Quds Al-Arabi, major newspaper, have been published in all over the Arab media. The details have been published lately, squeezed out or squealed out by the king's former prime minister, Mr. Bakit. So basically it's become public knowledge, but the West and the Western media is not learning about it. The details are as following. 1, Jordan's king has been pushing with Abbas president of the Palestinian Authority, is a Jordanian citizen. They've been pushing for a UN recognition of the Palestinian Authority as a Palestinian state.
Yes.
The Palestinian state is not necessarily good news to the Palestinian public inside Israel, because it opens a Pandora's box of issues about who's an Israeli, who's no longer an Israeli, who could live in Jerusalem. It's like a punch of trouble, which it's bad news. Now, the Palestinian state, it's basically Jordan's baby. The Jordanian government and regime have been promoting and lobbying, including the latest king's visit to the Congress. He has been lobbying basically this project, the Palestinian statehood in the UN. He's trying to get the U.S. not to vote, or at least not to veto, or if not to veto, at least not to vote against it. And with President Obama, everything is possible. And now, if the UN gets, if the Palestinian state gets the statehood, even if it doesn't get it, with all of those governments around the world recognizing the Palestinian state, the next step is to establish an elected government. My inside information says that Abbas would like to see one of his children, one of his sons, especially his eldest son, becoming the next Palestinian president. After that, who also is a Jordanian citizen himself. Now, this will be parallel with, after that, a referendum, as the King's top advisor said 2 weeks ago, a referendum into a confederacy between Jordan and the Palestinian state. So this way, Jordan's king is going to push his influence further inside Israel, and he's going to be exactly 6 miles away from Tel Aviv and 0 miles away from Jerusalem.
6 miles from Tel Aviv.
Oh, 6 miles, that's like being 6 miles away from Manhattan, and exactly being exactly at zero gap with Jordan, with Jerusalem. That is, the minute he pushes that in, the settlements, which are basically Israeli housing development projects, okay, would become illegal, and it's very difficult to push any of Israel's sovereignty and stability with a Jordanian solid state inside Israel. Now, how is he selling that to the U.S. administration? He's telling them two things: that he has the security and the power to protect the so-called borders with Jordan, with Israel. So the King of Jordan will basically control the entire the Jordan Valley borders. So Israel would become, actually now there's a border between Jordan and Israel. That's going to go away under, quote unquote, the reliable Jordanian troops, and which they're not reliable. We know one of them killed like 12 Israeli schoolgirls, and we know, they're just the same as the Palestinian fellows. And they're my people. I'm proud of him, but I could say things the way they are, that you cannot trust them inside Israel. I'm sorry. It's just the truth. Now, another issue, how he's selling it, another article of the so-called agreement, he's claiming to the naive Department of State that one of the major problems we don't have peace today is because of the refugees, the Palestinian refugees, and their right of return. They have to go back home somewhere. They cannot be floating forever in Syria and in Lebanon under the war and the shilling. So what he's offering is to allow those back into Jordan, and in exchange, he is demanding $55 billion of U.S. taxpayers' money, which is not going to go to the refugees, not going to go to the Jordanian state or the aid for the people. Is his own money as a reward for, quote unquote, supervision of Palestinian refugees. So this is what we're going to end up with. We're going to end up with Israel jeopardized, narrowing Israel's border into 13 kilometers, which is basically 9 miles. Okay, it's going to be at 1.9 miles in width. You can throw a stone and you're going to hit the shores of Israel from the West Bank.
But Netanyahu will never go for it.
Netanyahu will never go for it, that's true, but there is also a limit to what Netanyahu could and couldn't do. Could Netanyahu stop all of the international communities pushing towards boycott to Israel, pushing towards demonization for Israel? This is very systematic. This is not a coincidental issue, and this is the work of governments, not the work of amateurs and interest groups. And it could Netanyahu, eventually he has to give in somewhere, somehow, And eventually, even if Israeli soldiers are still all over the Judea and Samaria or the West Bank, if the international community keeps bugging Israel, oh, this is a state now that has signed a referendum with Jordan, now you don't belong here. Eventually, they're going to give in. Basically, if the target, this is the main cause of what the king is doing. He is fragile. He knows that he might leave. He is exporting his problems to Israel, and this way he can buy 5, 10, 15 more years in power. Wow. Let me give you the catch. In his interview with Charlie Rose, he was pushing, first of all, he claimed that Israel is to blame for ISIS, because Israel is, because of the so-called occupation. People are angry. I'm not going to get into that nonsense. And he also claimed that, quote unquote, this is why all of those governments are recognizing the Palestinian state, because they know in, quote unquote, in 1 or 2 years, unless Israel recognizes the Palestinian state, they're going to do it on their own because they have the terrorist to worry about.
But I can't believe in all this. When you talk about the 9 miles and the breaking up into segments and all that, Netanyahu stood before the UN. He has stood before the Israeli television. He has spoken to the American public. He will never allow borders like that for his country. And I don't believe even Obama can force his hand on that.
Already, few people realize that already these are the actual borders today. We, the Palestinians, we already have most of the West Bank or Judea and Samaria, and there are points where our police post is just 9 miles away from Tel Aviv, or 6 miles away from Tel Aviv. So this is the case. This has been the case. The only difference now is because it's called, quote unquote, Area C, an Israeli Jeep or Humvee can enter any time. In the future, with the progression, we might be able to say, no, we're not allowing the Israelis to enter. And this is an UN is. So basically, let's put it in this way. The king, particularly the king, okay, has played it very well. He went to the Americans, he convinced them with that, and he played it legally. Let me give you another one of the king's doings. Just today, Hamas was dropped off the EU's, the European Union's terror list.
Really?
That's exactly like dropping off Al-Qaeda or ISIS off the United States terror list. Exactly. There's no difference between Hamas and ISIS by any means. Now, how did this come to happen? It happened through a Jordanian lawyer who resides in Paris, who took over the case. That lawyer's name is Khalid Shuli. He's an East banker, and I have information about him which I cannot share now for legal purposes, but let's put it to you this way. If whatever he did was against the king's wishes, he would have gone through a million troubles. You need to understand, the king puts people in jail for criticizing the electricity or the services in the country, let alone people who work to defend Hamas in European courts.
And so that's why you can't walk the streets of Jordan yourself, because he wants to throw you into a Jordanian prison because you speak out against him. And you know, the last time, it's been, what, a month ago or so, the last time we had you on the show here at Right Side Patriots, Mudar, you got word after the show that the king had been listening in the palace and was not at all pleased with us. How pleased do you think he's going to be that we're divulging all this information to our listeners today?
Well, this is what I got. And, you know, I'm not... okay, first of all, this is what I got from the palace. Okay, I have sources everywhere. I am not an individual. I represent an institution, the Jordanian Coalition of Opposition. And we have loyalists and followers all over the country and at all places. And I can confirm what I was told, that the king's press office, it's called the press office inside his palace, which is, I know where exactly that is. They have been they follow everything I do. And in one of these things, they have been listening to your shows. And at one point, to the best of my knowledge, the king has actually listened to one of the shows.
Oh my God!
Not pleased at all, not impressed at all by what was happening. I understand that the final report that went to the king, that quote unquote, these people are right-wing maniacs, and they have nothing to worry about because they represent the mega ultra right-wing, and very few people listen to them. And my question, this is exactly what I was told. If so very few people listen to them, okay, why was the king so unhappy with it? Why was it so concerned? And miraculously, strangely, around the same time I was told that, your website crashed.
Yes.
Because of several attacks. I cannot connect those to Jordan, but let's put it in this way. First, your website crashes. Second, I hate to sound like a conspiracy theorist, when MEMRI, MEMRI, the wonderful institution exposing Islamism and fundamentalism in the Arab media, MEMRI published a story about the king's best friend, who's a parliament member, saying I hate Jews on Jordanian television.
Right.
Two days after that, YouTube banned MEMRI. So to ban MEMRI, there must be a magnificent force, the work of an institution to get that to happen. So basically, the man is very concerned about what I'm doing and what my other people are doing, and honestly, if we were so insignificant, he wouldn't bother that much with us.
Well,
he has managed to get me excluded from a few places. I won't mention which places, but like at least two places so far I've been excluded from, and he's chasing my tail, and it's going to take time, but eventually let's conclude this.
Well, I hate to interrupt, but we are going to have to take a quick break here. Now, before we do, Diane and I would like to say, hello, King.
Yes, hi, Abdullah.
We understand that you're listening. Welcome to Right Side Patriots. And on the off chance, King, that you have missed any part of the show so far today, we will rebroadcast it at midnight Eastern tonight. So you can catch it. It'll be sometime in the morning your time tomorrow. So, if you go to CPR Worldwide Media.com, you can check the schedule, do the simple math, King, and you can find out when you can hear all of this again. Diane, you and I do have to take a quick break. Yes. When we come back, MUDAR will still be with us. We have a lot more to discuss. MUDAR ZAHRAN is our guest today, making his return to the show after a quick bout with the flu. We're glad you're feeling better, sir. And stand by, folks, because we're just getting rolling here with MUDAR. There is a lot we need to get cleared up about what's going on over there in Jordan, with the Palestinian people, with the West Bank, with Gaza, with Egypt, with Israel, and the entire situation as it applies to the United States. So we'll take a quick break, get a word from our sponsors, and be back after this.
That every single one of us has what it takes
to win back-to-back gold, ski faster than any other human.
I believe it's possible to overcome fear.
I believe
it's possible to destroy stereotypes.
To start over, to be the toughest,
the strongest,
the bravest in the world. And when we work together, we can make it all possible. That's why Citi has donated $500,000 to its Every Step of the Way program, an initiative created to help future athletes reach their full potential through sport programs that inspire us. Like figure skating in Harlem.
Like youth enrichment services. Like Team for Tomorrow.
The Team USA Stay on the Slopes initiative.
Now spread the word and help decide how much of that money goes toward
offering personal support and financial assistance to Olympians in need.
Promoting the growth of hockey in the U.S.
expanding the sport of luge into new regions.
Support for wounded service members. Join Team City and let's turn a world of potential into reality.
Go to city.com/everystep and help decide where the money goes.
Come on, Harry!
Dumb and Dumber 2 is the #1 movie in America.
Am I right? What?
Seriously, it's #1.
Insane. These guys are morons! I like her a lot.
Dumb and Dumber 2, rated PG-13, now playing.
The design of the Ford Escape is clearly intended to grab your eye. Oh, and your foot. Huh, ain't that a kick? The Ford Escape with the foot-activated liftgate. Go open up something interesting. Go further.
However dark the night, however dim our hopes, the light is always there within you.
His family gave him hope.
You fight harder than those other guys, and you win.
His spirit gave him strength.
We're gonna die out here. We're not dying!
And in his darkest hour,
Who is the Olympic athlete?
his faith would not be broken.
Hello, Mother and Father. This will be the first time in 2 years that you'll have heard my voice. I wish you all a Merry Christmas. Your loving son, Louis.
On Christmas Day, experience the unbelievable true story of one man's journey home.
You can take it. You can make it. Just gotta believe you can.
If I can take it, I can make it.
Unbroken, rated PG-13, Christmas Day.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Oh, come, all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. Oh, come ye to Bethlehem. Come and behold him, born the King of angels. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord. Sing, choirs of angels, sing in exaltation. Sing, all ye citizens of heaven all. Glory to God in the highest. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord. Yea, Lord, we greet thee, born this happy morning. Jesus, to thee be glory give. Word of the Father, now in flesh appearing. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord. Oh, come, all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. Oh, come ye to Bethlehem. Bethlehem. Come and behold him, born the King of angels. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord.
And we're back on Right Side Patriots. Craig Andreessen from the National Patriot, Diane Sawyer from the Patriot Factor, and our very special guest today, returning to the show, is MUDAR ZAHRAN. And MUDAR, I think I just discovered what a big part of the problem is over there in that part of the world, and it is a lack of harmony in a cappella singing. We just had an a cappella Christmas song on that was absolutely gorgeous, and you don't hear that so much over there in that part of the world, that kind of harmony.
Well, not in the ISIS-controlled territories, for sure.
No, that's absolutely right. Yeah, MUDAR ZAHRAN, you are trying so hard to make things right over there, not only for the people of Jordan, for the people that are in Gaza and the West Bank, the Palestinian Jordanians, but also for Israel. And you're one of the few over there practicing Muslim who actually gets it and understands the significance of recognizing a state of Palestine, but at the same time having the Muslims in that part of the world recognizing Israel and their legitimate right to exist as well. Diane, I know you and MUDAR were talking during the break, and so I'm going to let you take this first question here because there's so much to cover.
Okay. Now that we know what the plans are for the next chapter in what's going to happen to Jordan, I would like to know what we, as the American people, can do to help get you and your party in control of Jordan, because only by getting you and your party, your secular party, in control, will the Palestinians' rightful homeland, which is Jordan, ever become theirs. What can we do as the American people?
Well, what you can do is not repeat the mistake of Egypt, Tunisia, and elsewhere. Your government and your Congress in particular is not talking at all to the seculars of Jordan. And we need to push the Congress to talk to the seculars of Jordan, push the Congress to question the money being given to Jordan, taxpayers' money, which end up in the king's account, question the U.S. Need for the king, with the U.S. actually being the largest supplier of and financer of the Jordanian army and intelligence. Basically, there has to be the right question beyond the king's fine Italian suit and perfect English. That being the case, we need people to do the grassroots, to push the right to the congressmen, to tell them why is the Department of State refusing to talk to MUDAR ZAHRAN and his people. Even if they are not, even if the king is stable, even if the king is perfect, why are you actually openly speaking to the Muslim Brotherhood and not talking to those people? Why is the CIA not connecting to them while it's actually connecting to everyone? Why is the Congress not talking to them? Why are you not giving them a hearing? And it connects to the very American national interest. National interest in the Middle East is for Israel to be stable, because Israel is the only stable democratic ally in the Middle East. It's the only solid, rock-solid base for American interest in the Middle East. Well, there is a responsibility and commitment that the U.S. has to America, to Israel's security, and it's for my own good, for my own people's good. It's in our best interest. Doesn't mean that our people understand that at all or even agree, but it's in their interest that Israel remains doing well. And that could only happen through a stabilized Jordan. And this king, as we can see, doesn't bring stability. Doesn't matter how much the media covers it up. We need to be given a hearing and a chance and the Congress, write to your congressman, write to your representative, send the message, post it online, search me and my group. You can start by looking at me on Twitter, MUDAR _ZAHRAN on Twitter. Please, let's do the homework, and allow me to just do in 20 seconds to conclude. It's another 700 days of President Obama in office.
Don't remind us.
I am not.
Oh yeah.
I don't necessarily hold anything against the president, but I know that maybe, just like the Cuba reconciliation thing was a surprise, maybe we're gonna watch the King of Jordan being let go at any moment. You never know.
Well,
nobody could confirm that.
Let me ask you this along those lines, MUDAR. Would letting the king go, as you put it, is that kind of a make do or make good for the Muslim Brotherhood for losing Egypt? Because Obama installed the Brotherhood in Egypt, and that didn't work out so good. So is Jordan the kind of the make good for the Muslim Brotherhood in Obama's mind?
No, because Jordan, and I've written extensively about that, Jordan's king and the Muslim Brotherhood are very much in an alliance and a partnership. If he goes, they go. Nonetheless, still, Obama, in my opinion, would seek to help the Muslim Brotherhood take over. The Muslim Brotherhood are very smart. I have documented this. In 2011, they were interviewed by the CIA. I have documented this in a Gatestone Institute article. They were interviewed by the CIA in Turkey, and they were asked if they wanted to topple the king. And they said no, because they know that the Palestinian majority would not elect the minority Bedouin Muslim Brotherhood. But still, if the king falls tomorrow, the U.S. agenda is they're going to deal with whoever they know. And whom do they know? The Muslim Brotherhood. They didn't know us. They didn't talk to us. They didn't even know our names. So it's trouble. It's just a chaos along Israel's borders. That's what we're going to get.
Well, yeah, Diane, I think what you and I can do to kind of help this situation along is put MUDAR's links and things on our websites.
Yes.
And MUDAR, if you could put together just a brief outline of the plan, for Jordan, that we could share with our readers and our listeners, that they could go to over and over again, especially when we ask them to write to their congressmen and their congresswomen, so that they can say, here's what you guys are missing by not giving MUDAR and his group a hearing before Congress. And after all, it's our taxpayer money that they're planning to send to the king. Sorry, king.
Yes, and then we can put it in permanently at the top of each of our blogs. And Craig and I get hundreds of thousands of hits on our blogs. We can put it up at the top where it's always there. People can constantly go to it.
Actually, that would be, the grassroots works would be, the only way forward. We don't have the money of the king. We don't have the connections of the king. We don't have the podiums or media that the king possesses. So unfortunately, we have to do it one step at a time and, build our own mansions on the clouds. And allow me to call for help, a desperate call for help for everyone, every American with a heart and the respect that we, both the Israelis and the Palestinians and the Jordanians also, do not deserve to live under oppression and terror. The current setup, only one person benefits from it, is Jordan's king, who becomes a billionaire by the day, and the Israelis have to live in an unstable country, under terror and compromisation of their identity, and the Palestinians have to live under systematic Islamization and systematic fundamentalism through the media and the official king and Palestinian authorities media. Nobody deserves that. No one deserves that. We both don't deserve this. Please help us. Think of it as a risk mission. And it also, if things fire up in that region, it's going to hurt American interest. So please help us, and please do your homework about us. And please talk to your congressman or congresswoman as soon as you can.
Now, see, Diane and I have done our homework, and we have researched you. We've researched your group. We know the situation over there, and this is the type of thing, folks, that you're not going to get on other American radio stations and through American media. You're not going to hear the truth. And when you hear somebody like MUDAR ZAHRAN, a practicing Muslim, by the way, who says that Israel deserves their rightful place in the world and that Muslims should not live under oppressive rule by a king. These are not the words that the American media, by and large, is going to broadcast to you. And this is why we find it so important to have MUDAR on the show from time to time, so that we can actually get the truth out there and let you hear it from somebody who knows it better than anybody else.
Yes. Yes, you're directly involved in it. These are your people. This is your home country that needs to come out of the grip of, while he's a king, it's still tyranny. The Jordanian people, who are the Palestinians, the Jordanian people, are actually living under tyranny.
And it's not only that, it's all financed by U.S. tax dollars.
And that's
U.S.
the
tax
sad,
dollars.
yeah.
While U.S. Marines and U.S. fighters who risk their own lives in Afghanistan have to fly in bad shaped, rusty aircrafts, flying them for 14 and 16 hours to their bases back in the U.S. The king jets around, the king's son in Washington, D.C., where he's a student of Georgetown, jets around the globe in a $55 million jet paid for by the U.S. taxpayers. So there's a question. I mean, aside from all things political, why is the U.S. now, the U.S. Congress, President Obama is going to ask the U.S. Congress to approve $1 billion a year aid to Jordan, of which we Jordanians get nothing and goes directly to the king? Why is every American adult going to pay $12 a year? Every American family is going to pay $24 a year to Jordan's king.
Right.
That's a very valid question. Why is that? For what purpose?
Yeah, folks, I know you're listening to this out there, and it's got to drive you crazy that our taxpayer money, it's being taken away from us and given to the King of Jordan, who is supporting terrorist organizations. It's just wrong on every level. That's why it's so important that we get the word out. And MUDAR, we also have some contacts inside of Congress, and we're going to tap into those and see if we can't get somebody over there on Capitol Hill to take a look and listen to what you have to say.
Thank you. Thank you very much for all that you've been doing. You guys are wonderful. Keep up the good work. And again, I repeat my desperate call for help for any American who could or would be able to help through the U.S. Congress and House. Please help us. We're running out of time. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you again, MUDAR, and we will do everything we possibly can.
And Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah to everyone. And His Majesty Jordan's King, if you're listening, hello.
He's going to be more unhappy with the three of us than he has been before.
Expect another attack on your website. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
we know, and we knew that the other attack did come from the Middle East. We did find that out.
Yeah, we're getting used to it. Yeah. I mean, if it's not the King of Jordan and his people, it's our own CIA.
No, I don't think so. But
oh, yes, it is.
Let's hope not.
Oh no, it is. Trust me. We know that for a fact too. So hello CIA. Hello, all the alphabets, and hello to the king. MUDAR, once again, we want to thank you for being a part of the show. It's always great to have you on. And, if we haven't offended you too much, we hope you'll come back and join us again sometime.
Thank you very much for having me, and you have a good time. See you soon.
Thank you, MUDAR. MUDAR ZAHRAN, our very special guest. Folks, if you missed any part of that interview with MUDAR, we will rebroadcast it at midnight tonight.
Wow. Wow,
Thank
Craig,
you very much.
there is so much that needs to be done, and now we know there's a time frame involved, a very serious time frame. And we just can't let Obama take down another country. Every country he puts his hand in goes down,
including ours.
Including ours.
You know, and folks, we're gonna work with MUDAR. We're gonna get some information. Kind of a talking point sheet that you can look at and familiarize yourself with some of the issues. So when we ask you right around the first of the year to get involved in this and to write letters to members of Congress, you can. Maybe Diane and I will even write up something that you can simply forward to Congress. Yes. We'll do it as a tandem thing. We've done that before, and all you got to do then is just get an email address and fire it off, and flood their email boxes, because we need to get somebody up on Capitol Hill that will give MUDAR the time to explain why this is so important, not only for the Jordanians and MUDAR's people, but for the Israelis, for the Egyptians, and for us right here in the United States. It all comes together. And Diane, when was the last time you actually had a practicing Muslim, wish you a Merry Christmas or a Happy Hanukkah and mean it?
This was a first, because you know how we kind of feel after the pictures of so-called moderates dancing in the streets as the World Trade Center fell and 3,000 people were entombed. We don't have that great of views in this country of so-called moderates, because up until MUDAR, very few moderate Muslims have had the guts and the courage to speak out.
Well, and MUDAR, like I said earlier in the interview, he can't even walk the streets of his own country because the king literally wants to arrest him. Yes. And I'm sure if we went over there, we wouldn't be, smiled upon either at this point. So.
No, I don't think he would like us, especially because you're not putting me in that Burka garbage bag, no matter what you do. Hello, King. Yeah. We're not coming over there. But we're going to help MUDAR. So, yes, we are.
You can take that to the bank with your billions.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know what? Fly us over on your private jet, and we'd like to have a little tete-a-tete with you, Kingy.
Well, look, he's done other radio shows. King, if you and your people are still listening, we'll give you airtime.
Yeah, we'll hear your point of view, even though we, know it kind of stinks. We'll let you give your point of view, and then we'll counter it with facts.
You come on Right Side Patriots, and you tell us why you personally deserve our taxpayer money. And you tell us why it is that the world of Islam, the Palestinian Authority, refuses to recognize Israel's right to exist. You come on and explain that to Diane and our listeners and to me. We'll give you that opportunity, but we're going to stand with MUDAR. It's all the same to you.
Absolutely, we're going to stand with MUDAR and his main premise of the Palestinians have a homeland. It's called Jordan. And all King Hussein, I keep calling him, and all King Abdullah has to do is take the 13 provinces at the bottom and give that as a Palestinian homeland. And he can do it with his pen and his phone, and he refuses to do it.
Oh, for God's sakes, he's got a pen and a phone too?
Yeah.
Chase.
So.
Chase.
Yeah, more pens and phones. Yep. It seems all these people who think of themselves as little dictators all seem to operate with pens and phones.
I know.
Amazing, isn't it?
Folks, we're just about out of time. Now, I do want to put in a special plug. You and I, Diane, are going to appear Friday night, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Actually, the show starts at 7. We'll come on at 8 o'clock. We're going to be on CPR Worldwide Media's Legislative Roundtable with Charles Kaprowitz and his group.
Yes, and we're going to be discussing Article 5, and guess what, people? The dirty words, the social issues will be in there, because Article 5 is all about states' rights.
Gives the power back to the states, which puts it closer to the people.
Yes.
Well, isn't that what our founders and framers envisioned in the first place? How about that?
That's what I always got from reading the Constitution. I think many people need to actually sit down with a copy of it and read it and understand which powers go to the feds and which powers go to the states. And I think they will be very surprised to find out that the so-called social issues are states' issues.
You know, I'll bet you anything, Diane, V. Wright and Jose Estevez on WTF tonight have a few things to say about this whole situation in Cuba.
Oh, I think they will too.
Folks, you want to stay tuned.
I think my little personal connection to this, I think I speak for a lot of
I know you do.
Cubans who were forced to leave their homeland, a homeland they never wanted to leave. They were forced to leave. And that first generation that came here really revitalized South Florida. They really contributed greatly. They were the professionals, the doctors, the lawyers, the accountants, the teachers. This first wave were the so-called white-collar workers of Cuba who saw the writing on the wall and got out while they could.
Well, WTF hits the air right here on CPR Worldwide Media tonight from 7 to 9 Eastern Time. Tune in for that. Diane, you and I are out of time, and we want to leave our listeners with one last song from the Klezmonauts, kind of a mixture of Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah, today being 1 week from Christmas Eve and the first full day of Hanukkah.
Okay, well, I want you to make a promise to everybody on the air here right now that on Saturday, somewhere in our show, we'll get in Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer.
I'll dig it out, and against my better judgment, I will play it.
Okay.
Folks, have a great rest of the day. Diane and I will see you on Saturday. Say goodbye, Diane.
Bye, guys.